our goal was to cover the first chapter in 9 sessions. We're trying to understand what exactly is the problem we are addressing. So the chapter 1 starts with an open question from the blind mind. Typically, we said our mind is blind to what is happening inside. So I made 2-3 points very clear at that point of time, right? What type of thoughts governs me? What type of emotions governs me? And as a result, how do I feel? How do I think? And what exactly I speak? And how do I perceive the things happens outside? And above all, how do I respond to the situation? Mind you, this is a simple looking word, but it is very important. What is happening inside me? What type of thoughts and emotions comes to my mind? What type of the thoughts and emotions always governs me? And these thoughts and emotions are going to determine how do I feel at a given point of time. You can feel extremely stressed. You can feel extremely happy. You can feel extremely confident on one day, and you can feel extremely depressed on another day. What exactly creates that emotions or the state of mind? It is the thoughts and the emotion that controls my mind at that point in time governs that. But most of us are completely blind to the thoughts and emotion that comes to my mind. And most of us are extremely blind to what exactly the effect of these thoughts and emotions on me. Not just me. How do I relate with other people? Sometimes you may have to ask your spouse. You may think that you are talking normally, but she or he will tell that he is shouting. Sometimes you may feel that you are not stressed, but the fact is you are stressed. So even if it is a car, or even if it is a phone, or even if it is a laptop, or even if it is a heating system, it is important that these devices work on the optimal operating conditions. Let me underline. In this means any devices or any equipment should work in the optimum operating conditions. If you put this camera in a very hot environment, or if it is not a water resistant camera and if you put that into water, and you expect the camera to function exactly the same way it is, isn't it foolish? So this human system, which is a biochemical engine, machine, on the physical side, definitely, it is better than any machine human being has invented. So if this is a biochemical machine, that machine also should have some optimal operating conditions, physically and mentally. We don't know. We always check the dashboard of our car, and if the air is a little bit low, we will go and fill the air. We should. If the gas is low, we will fill it. We don't fill over gas or too much gas, appropriate level. And if there is a check engine, we will definitely go and see that. To a certain extent, we do that with the body now, physical body. We, at least all of us will start doing wellness visit. At least when I was a kid in India, there was no concept called wellness visit. Isn't it? When you go to the doctor's office, that means you're sick. It's a kind of a reactive mode. Now it becomes a little bit more proactive mode on the healthcare. Even in India, I can see that. People going to wellness visit. But what exactly we are doing on the mental side? How do we know that I'm emotionally stable? How do I know that I'm emotionally intelligent? That word is coined in 90s, which is extremely important. How do I know that I'm emotionally intelligent so that my thoughts, my mind is in a stable state when I face the situation? If my mind is not in a stable state when I face the situation, I lost the battle. So we saw that with the example of that chariot. If the charioteer do not have control over the reins, and if the charioteer is not obeying the master's wish, what is going to happen? We saw 2 snapshots. Remember? The horses will go in its own direction and the chariot will completely crash. So this chapter is giving a deep, high definition view of our mind. A high definition view of our mind in which I can see what is happening inside me. So the blind mind started introspecting and it saw a battlefield in my mind who are fighting each other. The destructive emotions and negative thoughts on one side and the positive emotions and inspiring thoughts on the other side. So we saw a set of scenario. Actually, once these forces assembled, the leader of the positive forces, which is self-control, because somebody has to monitor and control, right? Because if even in any management theory or any control system, it is monitoring and control. Blood pressure monitor, like you will monitor and then you have to control it. Like that, your mind has to be monitored and the emotional and the thoughts has to be controlled. I quoted Aristotle last week. One of the famous statement made by Aristotle is what? Anybody, it is easy to get angry. But appropriate anger at appropriate place at appropriate time, it's almost impossible. Even if the place and the time is correct, the degree of anger will be too much. Most of the people get angry at wrong place, wrong time, with wrong proportion. That's why Daniel Goleman said, what is one of the greatest skill anybody should learn, which is in line with the chapter 1? He tells
emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence. Within emotional intelligence, he brings one point, right?
Balance.
Right, he uses one word which is exactly there in the Gita. He tells the appropriate emotion proportional to circumstances. Underline this. Appropriate emotions proportional to circumstances. Where I need anger, I need to have that much unit of anger. Wherever I need to have sadness, I need to have that much unit of sadness. Otherwise, you will be like a stone. Krishna said, a stone is better than that fellow. So somebody is in deep crisis, somebody passed away, you go and explain him Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, that doesn't work out. So that time the tears has to come out. Every master has demonstrated that. But not in a way that will prevent me from acting or doing what needs to be done. So this is the best operating condition. And physically we saw that. This is represented by the Mahabharata battle. Both the armies started fighting, means around to fight. Arjuna, the hero of the Pandava forces, he wanted his chariot to be placed in the middle of the battlefield so that he can see who are all fighting each other. And when he saw the Kaurava forces, what happened? He saw his own people on both sides. So self-control saw emotions and thoughts that are dear to me. I gave a lot of example last week. I am dieting, but I saw a burger. I'm committed to do workout, but it's raining. So nice to sleep. That is also dear to me. And then Arjuna concluded, what is the point in destroying them? Because they are also part and parcel of me. If I destroy them, I'm going to create problem within my own society. In other words, self-control find it difficult to control certain thoughts and emotions from my mind. Forget Arjuna and think about the self-control perspective. It will be crystal clear. Each one of us have made that compromise. Right from exercise to eating to studies and every field of life you look. Whenever we procrastinate, understand that my self-control is compromising something. So this is what happens. So when I see that what I need to control or annihilate or take over is dear to me. I talked yesterday, if it is an Alauddin Khilji or a Ghazni or Gauri, Arjuna or any warrior would not have any problem because they are enemies. But here on the enemy camp, I am seeing Bhishma, Drona, all those dear and near. So the self-control, if I need to eliminate a habit which I don't like at all, which is not dear to me, it's easy for me. But when I need to compromise my sleep, when I need to take out the TV time and spend on my certification, when I need to remove my sleeping time and go for a walk, when I need to compromise sleep and prepare for a skill development, I find it difficult. Even for some people, compromising on certain food itself is difficult. So, at that point of time, what happens? Naturally, self-control will find certain excuses. Today morning only, somebody was giving that excuse. I don't know whether you heard, before you coming in, that excuse happened. Somebody said, after all, there is one life. So why should I compromise a lot? I might live only 5 years less, but when I'm living, I'm happy. That's exactly is the arguments. So let's see. So let's continue. So we'll start with verse 38. So now it's time for the self-control to give excuse. Mind you, all these excuses are valid excuses. But what is the problem? These excuses are coming out of a weak mind. Any excuse coming out of a weak mind or a depressed state or a not so good mental state has to be rechecked. And later point of time, Krishna, Mahatma Gandhi in his commentary on Geeta, which is Anasakti Yoga, by the way, there is a book. Mahatma Gandhi's commentary on Geeta is very famous. Anasakti Yoga. So he tells, the question is whether or not to fight the war or not. If Gandhiji makes this assertion very clearly, multiple masters and even Krishna makes this later in the Anugita. If Arjuna had made this decision with a balanced mind or a controlled mind, that decision would have been accepted. Even in the Gita, Krishna never said, you do this, you do that. He just did everything to make sure that the person is thinking from a right frame of mind. And he gave enough knowledge so that you can face that situation. So this is not a war-mongering textbook as some people try to portray it. It is wrong. If they are seeing war in Bhagavad Gita, they are missing. I'll tell you the example also. In 16th chapter, Krishna highlights one skill as ahimsa. We'll see that. Okay, so that's all. Let's listen to the words.
Yadyapyetena pashyanti lobhopahata chetasaha kulakshayakritam dosham mitradrohe cha patakam katham nagneyamasmabhihi papadasman nivartitum kulakshayakritam dosham prapashyadbhirjanardana.
Well developed arguments. So when we find excuses, we will come up with creative mind and come up with very good arguments. We can see that within ourselves. Think about that. You had a plan to take certification last year. You didn't do it. If I ask you, you will say that last year my daughter's study was a little bit more, or you will come up with multiple arguments. Guaranteed. So that's exactly what is happening. So let's see the verse by verse. So he tells, Yadyat petena pashyanti lopho pahata chetasaha kulakshaya kritam dosham mitradrohena patakam. So let's read the word by word meaning. So he tells, Yadyat, if you break that, yadi plus api is yadyat. Yadi api means even if. Even if. Okay? Ete means these. So even if these means the Kauravas. Even if these people, what is the characteristics of their Kaurava? Lopo pahata chetasaha. Lopaha apataha chetasaha. You know the Sandhi in our Indian language, it is in every language we have something called Sandhi. What is Sandhi? All of you have studied some Indian language, right? Whether it is Tamil or Hindi or Malayalam, any language you have Sandhi. What is Sandhi, by the way?
Joining.
When two words are combined, what happens? The spelling changes. Why? Have you ever, means all of you might have studied. You studied Marathi, right? You studied Tamil. You studied Malayalam.
Hindi.
Oh, you studied Hindi?
I'm studying.
It doesn't matter. Hindi also has Sandhi. Why this happen? So every language, I'll take 2 minutes and explain, because we are going to see this more and more. And this is true for every Indian language, right from the oldest language, Tamil, to the latest language, probably Malayalam. So every language has this aspect of Sandhi. Sandhi means every language has two forms. One is the formal written form. Second one is what? Informal spoken form. Example, 100%. I mean, let's start with Tamil and Hindi. Kovil, you say. That is the formally written form. How do you say?
Koi.
Correct. Koi. Hindi. Can you give an
Mandir.
example? Yeah, how do you say? Mandir, how do you say?
They used to say mandir.
No, different.
Spoken words.
There are spoken words like
No, no,
in
no.
Hindi also. I knew, I forgot. So what happens is, yeah, so the Sanskrit or all these oldest language, it is true for Tamil, Sanskrit, all these languages. The scripts developed much later than, or the grammar rules developed much later than the actual language. So by the time the grammar was developed, what happened? There were a lot of informally spoken words. So there is a rule that was created. When two words combines, the spelling changes. These two words forms into one form. Rama Ishwara. Rameshwara. And how do you interpret the meaning? That is where this rules of samasa comes in, called compound. Rameshwara. If you use one compound or one samasa, there will be one meaning. And if you use another compound, it will be another meaning. Classic example is Rameshwara. Rameshwara, if you use one samasa, the meaning is Ishwara of Rama. That is the most common meaning. Ishwara of Rama. What is the other meaning?
Rama.
He for whom Rama is the Ishwara. The third meaning, if you use a different compound. So first meaning is Rama's Ishwara. Second one is he for whom Rama is the Ishwara. The third meaning is Rama the Ishwara. Fourth meaning is what? Rama and Ishwara. So depending upon the context, you have to take it. So here we say Lopo Apahata Chetasa. It becomes Lopo Pahata Chetasa. Lopa means greed. Apataha means hijacked or kidnapped. Chetasa means mind. So even if Yadyat Epe, so even if these people, meaning the Kauravas, whose mind is hijacked with what? Lopo Pahata Chetasa. So Lopaha. Lopa means what? Greed. So these people's mind is already hijacked with greed. So these people, meaning the Kauravas, their mind is hijacked with greed. Greed of the money or the country, etc. And they are not seeing what? Lopo Pahata Chetasaha. And what they are not seeing, they say Na Pashyanti. Na Pashyanti means not seeing. So Yadyat Epe Na Pashyanti. These people are not seeing something. Why they are not seeing? They are not seeing because their mind is already hijacked with greed. And what exactly they are not seeing? Kulakshaya Kritam Dosham Mitra Drohe Cha Patakam. Kulakshaya Kritam Dosham. Dosham means what? Dosham means what? The defect. The defect. That is the larger meaning. They are not seeing the defect. What defect? Kulakshaya Kritam. The destruction of the community. And then Mitra Drohe Cha Patakam. Patakam means what again? It's the bad result caused by a wrong action. Bad result caused by a wrong action. And what is the mitra drohe? Hurting the friends or the like-minded people. And kulakshaya kritam, they are not seeing kulakshaya kritam dosham and mitra drohe chapatakam. They are neither seeing the destruction of the community nor they are seeing the damage caused by the enmity of the friendly people. Is that clear? Yadi api ede, even though they are not seeing what kulakshaya kritam dosham mitra drohe chapatakam, even though they are not seeing the destruction of the community as well as the damage created by the by doing the wrong actions to between the friends or the community. Why they are not seeing? He also explained. Lobha apahrita chetasa. Their mind is hijacked by the greed. So when my mind is hijacked by emotions, what happens? I do not see properly. So Arjuna is making a valid case. This is all correct. But the problem is, what mental state is creating this argument? That's all the problem is. So, yadi api ete na pashyanti lopaha apahrutaha chetasaha kulakshaya kritam dosham mitra drohecha padakam. Even means that is not completed. So let's go to the next verse. So he tells, it's clear, right? Means the verses are clear. Any questions, any word, if you don't know, raise it. But look at the beauty of the poetry. It's amazing, like how the words are combined into a beautiful meaning. So he said, Katham na jneyam asmapi papat asman nivartitum kulakshaya kritam dosham prabadaschit janardana. So he tells, oh Janardana. Last week I explained who is Janardana. Janardana is a brilliant word. The word Ardhana means two different things. One is what? The one who protects whoever does good. And Janardana also means one who punishes those who do wrong thing. In other words, the governing principle of the universe. So you know Janardana, you know what is right and wrong. How context sensitive is the names used. That's the beauty of the Gita. So, oh Janardana, you know, right? He said, Katham, how means, Katham means how. How, Katham na jneyam. Can't it to know, means can't it be known? How, Katham na jneyam. Asmabhi. Asmabhi means by us. They are not seeing it, right? Their mind is hijacked with greed. So they are not seeing the damage of the destruction of the community and the enmity caused with the people within the community. But katham na jneyam asmabhi. That doesn't mean that we should not see it. Beautiful argument again, right? So katham na jneyam asmabhi. Then what is? Prapashyanti. Prapashyanti means who are seeing. We are seeing it. I am seeing it. Even though they are not seeing it, I am seeing it. And then he tells beautifully. Then he tells like Prapashyanti. Then he talks about the two types of dosham. Kulakshaya kritam dosham. Kulakshaya kritam dosham means again, Kulakshaya means the destruction of the community. The defect or damage caused by the destruction of the community. Even though they are not seeing it, I am seeing the destruction of the community. Then he tells Kulakshaya kritam dosham pravurtirbhir nivartirbhir janardana. So he tells nivartin. Nivartin means I am seeing it. There are two words, pravurti and nivarti. Nivarti means what? Opposite of pravurti. Pravurti means what? Acting. Nivarti means refraining it, retreating. So we should retreat it, refrain, retreat it. Asman, from this, what? Papan. Papan means wrongdoing. So I am seeing the damage of the community here, even though they are not seeing. So we should retreat and refrain. Beautiful argument, right? So let's see. So let's talk about the subjective aspect. So under the influence of ego and habits, remember with whom the self-control is fighting? destructive emotions and negative thoughts within me. So, under the influence of the ego, the self continues to put forth arguments. These arguments are apparently good and valuable. Don't say that Arjuna's argument was wrong. People always portray Arjuna as a good for nothing person in chapter 1, right? A weak person. He's not weak. His arguments are valid. That's the beauty. So, and then he tells it is important to know that such arguments are coming out of a weak mind. Any decision coming out of a weak mind, this is the first lesson Shakespeare gives. Othello. Famous statement, right? Put out the light and then put out the light. Anybody studied it? You know Othello's story, right?
Yeah.
Othello and Desdemona. Desdemona, he loves this girl that much. But what happened? Doubts. So finally he make a decision. What? Kill her. And that time he utters this word. Put out the light and then put out the light. First I have to switch off this light. And then put out the light. What is the second put out the light? The girl. Beauty of the language. How? This is why Shakespeare is a Shakespeare. So Shakespeare in this particular drama tells any decision comes out of a weak mind. This decision of Othello came from a weak mind. But from his perspective, from that mental state, yeah, his decision was justified. And you would see the same thing in Julius Caesar. Brutus was a nice person. He was a nationalist. He was a committed person for the benefit of the country. And he decided to kill Caesar. And when he stabbed Caesar under the influence of Caius Cassius, when he stabbed Caesar, he said famous words, right? Et tu Brute. Then Caesar falls. So there also you could see what was guiding that decision of that Brutus came from that emotional state. Even though his intent was good, he was a right person, but Caius Cassius, who was able to confuse this guy and made his mind into a weak state and made him to take a decision from that weak mind, and that caused the damage. You should all read some of these Shakespeare's work. This Julius Caesar has a famous statement by Cassius to Brutus. How Cassius convinces Brutus to kill Caesar is amazing. It's a genius, literary genius. He said, like, the fault, dear Brute, is not within your stars, but with yourself. Those are very powerful arguments, correct arguments. But these correct arguments can be used for wrong things. That's exactly what here also comes in. And I just explained this because some of the Geeta commentators, with their over-enthusiasm, try to kill these arguments. No, these arguments are good arguments. We should understand that. Okay, so now the excuses. Here the problem is I need to control my destructive emotions and negative thoughts. But what is the problem? What happens? These negative thoughts and emotions, they try to hijack my mind. They don't see the next steps. When I go and eat all these rasgullas or sweets, I am not thinking about my diabetic state. When I am deciding to sleep in the morning, skipping my workout, I am not thinking about my exercise or the health. When I see some food, the natural inclination is these thoughts are not thinking a lot. But what happens? They don't see anything wrong in destroying the positive thoughts, commitments, and control. True? How many of you I know doctors smoking. I know doctors who smokes. Do you think that anybody needs to educate that doctor? Why?
No.
Their mind do not see at that point of time anything wrong in destroying their knowledge. That's what happens. So now what is going to happen? So now the negative self-control will determine. I am made up of all these thoughts. in between a burger or some drinks or some immoral activities, I do not find myself as a happy person. Isn't it? True, right? I do not see myself complete. Yeah, you may tell, okay, I will pray from 5 to 6, but 8 to 9 on weekend, I need to go to that drinking booth. After all, it's life, right? You come up with some excuse. Doctor already told, one more cigarette or one more drink, your liver is already damaged. And if you have hundreds of people I know, I've seen a lot of people, drunkards in India, right? They go to the treatment, doctor will try to scare him maximum. One more drink, order your funeral and come, they will say. But even after that, they lose the control. Why? Because they think that I am complete, my life is fulfilled or complete with these negative things. I'm not saying that this is right or wrong, but this is the natural human tendency. So it seems unreasonable for me to destroy the family clan of these sensual inclinations, since they have specific functions to perform in my life. After all, I work, means the other day somebody was telling, I work hard this much, right? So one or two excuses I can take. I'm not saying that it is right or wrong, but it is natural for anybody to think through that. So here the Gita just cautions us, this influence of these negative tendencies. Please don't think that the enemy outside is much easier to fight with. There is an African proverb. The enemy outside is much weaker compared to the enemy inside. Anybody read the book called Art of Warfare? Art of Warfare. This is the first known management book as per the industry, not by anybody, because we can see management principles in our own writings. It can be management writings can be seen in the ancient Tamil books, in ancient Sanskrit books. But as per the management industry, the first known management book is the Art of Warfare. What is the strategy they use to create fear in the enemy? Uncertainty. He'll say that, okay, when this Chinese army is going to come, you will see you cannot cut their throat. They have, if you shoot, they will not die, etc., etc. So instill fear. And that was the easy way to conquer any place. So this is what happens. So Gita just cautions us that the battle we have, the biggest battle each one of us has to fight is not an external battle, but an internal battle. And that internal battle is not easy. It's not easy at all. Because if that internal battle was good, all of us would have been in a different stage. It's okay, this is natural, but we need to understand this. And most of the people always try to chase the enemy outside. You cannot conquer the enemy outside without conquering the enemy inside. That's impossible. Okay, so now I just wanted to call this particular concept, don't think that this is unique to Gita. This is there in every scriptures of the world. The same idea is expressed. So in Buddhism, they say, Buddha's quoting is there. As fish from watery home is drawn and cast upon the land, even so, the mind while Mara's realm is abandoning. So the tendency of a mind to go into the sensual inclination is like a fish brought out of the water. Mara in Buddhism means what? Evil, the negative tendencies. So that's how strong it is. So when trying to abandon the realm of Mara, the mind begins to shake. When you try to control your negative passions and thoughts, the mind will shake and it will try to get out of that realm, just like a fish was pulled out of the water. Exactly the same concept. So this is another scripture. I'll just bring the same attention from one more scripture. In between, we need to understand all the scriptures of the world gives the same message. It is very important to understand. Whether people understand it or not, that's a different matter. So let me give one more quote from another scripture. So the Bible tells, watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Exactly the same message. Tells the spirit is trying to pull us into the right direction, but the sensual pull or the negative emotions and thoughts pull is so high that you may fall down. Look at this verse. But those whose desire to be rich fall into temptation, into snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. One more verse. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Imagine, look at that definition, apply that definition to Arjuna. A double-minded man. Here it is exactly describing Arjuna's state. You can see same words from Quran or Tirukural or any book you take. This is one thing you can see commonality in all the scriptures and all the moral writings of the world. So this particular point is that much important. So another verse, check your temptations. All these verses pointing to the same direction. But what we do, people read the Bible and they think that Satan is sitting outside and they attribute all the blame to Satan and just excuses their hand. Here we will say that it is Arjuna's problem. And Buddhists will say that it is Mara, I cannot do anything. So I am out of the problem. When you are taking the problem outside of me, this will be a mere reading. It is good. It will give you a little bit of happiness when you read these things. That's why I use the one word, right? People use Gita for a little bit of spiritual stimulus. That is how it happens. Gita or any scripture for that matter, it is not for spiritual stimulus. It is for changing myself. So this is very important. Any questions? Because this is such an important topic. Now Arjuna is going to come up with brilliant arguments. Let's see that.
Kulakshaye pranashyanti kuladharma sanatanaha dharme nashte kulam kritsnam adharmo bhibhavatyuta adharma bhibhavat krishna pradushyanti kulastriyah strishu dushtasu varshneya jayate varna sankarah sankaro narakayaiva kulagnanam kulasya cha patanti pitaro hyesham lupta pindodakakriyaha doshairetaiः kulagnanam varna sankarakarakaiः utsadyante jati dharmaha kuladharmascha shashvataha utsanna kuladharmanam manushyanam janardana narake niyatam vasaha bhavati tyanushruma.
So let's try to understand the Sanskrit meaning. Kulakshaye pranashyanti kuladharma sanatanaha dharme nashte kulam krishnam adharmopi bhavatyutaha. So he tells kulakshaye. Kulakshaye means what? Kulam means family or group, community. Chaye means destruction or decay. When the family is destroyed or decayed, because the previous verse we saw the after effect of a war. When the war happens, the community get destroyed, which is natural. Especially this is true in a civil war. In a civil war, the community get destroyed, right? So when kulakshaye, the next verse is pranashyanti. Pranashyanti means destroyed. Kulakshaye pranashyanti means when the family gets destroyed. Sanatana. What is the word sanatana means? Ancient. Sanatana means very much ancient. Kuladharma. Kuladharma means what? Every community has a
Job.
it's a structure, right? So if you take randomly a set of people here in North Brunswick, right? You could see a lot of pharmaceutical company here earlier, at least. So you would see a lot of skilled pharma people, and if there is a lot of IT companies are here, you will see a lot of that, like that skilled people, right? So if you go to a village which is known for paintings, you would see a lot of painting people there. Like in Tamil Nadu and all certain villages, are specialized for such skills, right? If you want all these sculptures, there are some villages, every house you can see these sculptures. And some places are good for certain thing. So every location has its own social fabric. That doesn't mean that it is a caste oriented thing. Please remove that idea, because it is interpreted that way and it will destroy the whole purpose. So depending upon the purpose of that community, like you will see a social fabric in that community. And when a war happens, what is going to happen? You saw this in the Ghazni, all these invaders when they came in, right? What did they do? Like they cut off the hands of all these weavers and all those people. So then what happens? The whole village known for weaving, it's gone. It happened in Dhaka. I don't know whether it is true or false. The story tells that British cut the thumb, but there is no evidence. So I don't want to make it official. But let's assume that somebody cut all the thumbs of all these weavers. The story tells that British didn't want to compete these Dhaka weavers with the British weavers, like the Lancashire or somewhere. So they cut. I don't see any solid evidence which tells me that it happened. It might have happened. It may not have happened.
Shah Jahan cut.
But that is only one person, right?
Shah
So
Jahan
here,
cut the hands of all the people who did the Shah.
yeah, I mean, yeah. Let's assume that that happened, and if think that one village is known for making all these beautiful cotton, and if something happened, if a war happened, and if those people got killed, what happened? And you know this, right? These traditional means especially in Tamil Nadu, Kerala side, you will have all these Siddha Vaidya and all those people. When they die, what is going to happen?
The art goes away.
The art goes away. And some of these traditional cultural art, how to create certain sculptures, how to create certain art forms are all gone. How? Means either they didn't teach that to the next generation, or imagine a war happens, it will destroy. So that is what Arjuna tells. The whole, if all the IT people here just vanishes, what is going to happen? The entire IT industry has to move from here to another place. So that's all he's saying. So this is practical even in the modern days. It is nothing connected with the jadi. The moment people say that, people start linking this with the caste. We will see what is caste in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, and we will say it is guna and karma. We'll see that. That's a different matter. It will remove all the doubts completely from the heart of anybody. And what happens is certain people use this for their advantage. That's it. So we'll talk about that later. So Kulakshaye pranashyanti kuladharma sanatanaha. When the community get destroyed, what happened? The whole makeup of that community or that society, it changes. Why New Jersey is known for the pharmaceutical companies? Why Detroit is known for the automobile industry? Because you will get a lot of skilled workers in that area. Over a period of time, it got developed, right? The industry started, a lot of skilled worker moved there, and all the R&D started there. So if something happens, what happens? That fabric will be destroyed from a physical perspective. Then what happens? When the family is destroyed, kulakshaye pranashyanti kuladharma sanadanaha. And then what happened? Dharme nashte. So when the dharma, when that fabric gets destroyed, adharma ati bhavati. What happens? The adharma, the lawlessness increases. So you have a lot, adharma means disharmony also. So there is a lot of IT people here, and there's IT companies here and no IT people here. That is adharma, the disharmony. We saw what is dharma earlier with a long discussion. It is the natural order. So then what is the order? Like if there is a lot of IT companies here, for that order to meet, there has to be enough IT employees. Like that, in a society, the war can create a huge disharmony. So that's the first argument. Isn't it correct? It's very valid. Next verse. So the verse 41 we will see. Adharma adharmapi bhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulastriyaha strishu dushtasu varshneya jayate varna sankaraha. So he tells, O Krishna, then adharma api bhavat, due to adharma api bhavat, adharma api bhavat, meaning due to the increase in disharmony, what happens? Adharmabhi bhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulastriyaha. Pradushyanti means the family life or the social fabric get destroyed. Here what happens is kulastriyaha, the ladies of the family, they will what happens? They will start moving into the improper path, because let's say that all the men got destroyed in the war. What happens? Look at from a battle perspective. The ladies have no other option. There is no support, and what happens? They will get destroyed, or they will have to go to a wrong path. There is a tendency for that. And then what happens? When strishu dushtasu varshneya jayate varna sankara. What happens? When the family system get destroyed, what is going to happen? Disharmony in the society happens. Just like take a pause and think through it. What was the fundamental building blocks or the stability of our culture? Strong family. Correct? People were able to conquer every other country, but they failed to conquer India because the presence of a strong family. Look at the mother. He sacrifices everything for the benefit of the entire family. And when that family system got destroyed, what happens? The community will collapse. So they could not destroy, like why the Mayan culture got destroyed, or why the pyramids, Egyptian culture got destroyed, why the Roman culture got destroyed. They could just go and destroy the religious head, the whole thing would have gone. But if you go to a village in Tamil Nadu and ask, where is God? Don't go to the city, he will be confused. But go to a villager who go and do this primitive worship of the God, like the Mariamman or anything like that. He will say, if you ask, where is God? Kadavalange, if you ask, he will say, Kadavalange, everywhere there is God. But if you go to a city, he will point the finger up. So why? This came down to him. And all the values we all inherited, right? It comes through the mother and the family system. And you are seeing the mother sacrificing everything and for the family and taking care of it. Is it by force? Not at all, right? It is a voluntary act of the family. So that family unit was the strong basis for our culture. And if that family unit is destroyed, everything is destroyed. And you can see that happening in other cultures. So that's one more point he tells. And then let's see the next verse. So one more name he used to call Krishna. We will see that. Krishna. The word used to call Krishna is Krishna, his own name. So we have to see. So where we saw 6 or 7 names. Every name is so beautiful. So then he tells, so he used, okay, so that's it. Varna Sankara, one more word I just wanted to highlight. Varna Sankara means don't say that intermixing of the caste. It is wrong. It is say that confusion in the society. Let's understand that way. So now next is Sankaro Narakayaiva Kulakhnanam Kulasyacha Patanti Pitaro Heshyam Lupta Pindo Tagakriya. Again, this can be misinterpreted. Let's see. So what happened? Sankara. Sankara means confusion. Take the simple example. So many IT companies, all the IT people got destroyed. Naturally, you will have to employ some housewife who just studied Java and you put him as a lead developer, and you know that everything will collapse. Wrong people occupying in the role, right? So in 90s and late 99, 2000s and all, right? Anybody comes here, just go, the person has not even seen the computers. What they do? Just go and do one course, put up a resume with all the fake projects. Even now it happens.
Yeah.
Right? Without any any sense of guilt, people does that. And when they go to the job, that's the time. I was interviewing a project manager very recently, and he said he never encountered an issue. He always managed that. I thought, let me prostrate him, right? Any project managers, if there is no issues and no everything is happening exactly the way he planned,
He doesn't have a job.
exactly, then why do you need a manager?
Yeah, that's only.
So this fellow, after reading the PMBOK and taking a PMP certification, thinks that in a theoretical world. So this is exactly what Arjuna is telling. Like, it creates confusion in the society. It creates confusion in the job. Imagine when that person is managing a lot of people. What would be his expectation? So much of faking is happening in this job market. People take interviews for other people. All these nonsense are happening. And such people, when they start work, it's a mess. We all know that. So that is what? Sankaro eva narakaya bhavati. What is narakaya bhavati? When this confusion happens. When HDMI. So Sankaro narakaya cheva kulakhnanam kulasyacha patanti pitaro dheshyam lupta pindodaka kriyam. So this confusion happens. What is happening? It leads into a naraka eva. Like it creates a hellish state. Don't think that this is creating anything in the society, right? Imagine if the lead architect is a person who just did a course and came in. When he leads the company, what is going to happen?
Yeah.
Naturally a hellish state. So this is what is indicated. So this situation creates a hellish state, and then he said, patanti pitaro heshyam lupta pindodaka kriya. So what happens? Figuratively he says, what happened? The pindas you offer to your ancestors, that will be rejected. Why? Your ancestors established a cultural value for your community. And when you deviate from that completely, what happens? The pinda or the offering, right? The means there is in our culture, it's symbolic, right? What is happening is the society is completely deviating from its root. When you go to Greece right now, you will feel that. Have you, anybody went to Greece by any chance? Have you, any one of you visited Greece? Please go there. You will feel crying. Only physical structures are there. The culture is completely gone. Yeah, it will come. So everything is gone. The ancient Roman Empire, the Egyptian culture, which built all these pyramids, it was entirely destroyed. Go to South America or all this African culture. Every culture was completely wiped out. That is symbolically said here that in such situation, your ancestors will reject the offering use because you deviated completely away from their path. So that's what is said in that verse 42. So let's see 43 and 44. So he tells, Doshair hete kulakhnanam varna sangara karakai utsyadhyante jadi dharma kula dharma ashwashwataha. So etair means by these. Doshair means wrongdoing. Again, think about this. Like I'm destroying my own people who fail to see what the damage of a civil war. And when I destroy these people, I'm talking about the Arjuna's perspective. These confusion in all the warriors will be killed, all the society will be destroyed, and naturally the Hastinapura, which was a prosperous kingdom, it will get into all these hellish state, and naturally what is going to happen? All the ancestors established a great path like Shantanu and all these people. Bharata was the ancestor of this Kuru clan. What is the speciality of Bharata? Bharata was the first person in the history of India who negated the right of a person to be the ruler because of by birth. So Bharata, who is the son of Dushyanta and Shakuntala, he found that all his children are useless. None of his children were fit enough, not good enough to be the rulers of the country. So he changed the rule and he adopted somebody from outside and he put him as the king. And he said, hereafterwards, birth should not be a cause for becoming the rulers of the country. So this is the Mahabharata story. And this was properly followed. So if the first son is not eligible, they used to make the second son. Only the ability was the reason for becoming the king. This was violated at one place, and that is where the war started. This was violated by Bhishma's father when he promised that the children of Satyavati will be the rulers. Who did that mistake? Bhishma did. Bhishma promised that the children of Satyavati is going to be the rulers of the kingdom. And Bhishma violated that good old role created by Bharata. And everybody paid the price for that. These are all stories, but you have to understand, Mahabharata has a systematic sequence. The rule established by Bharata was only eligible people will rule. So that type of traditions will lose, and that will be a big mess. And then he tells, right, Kulaknana, then what happens? Varna Sangara Karahai. The society will get completely confused with these chaos. And ineligible people become the rulers of the country, and ineligible people become the governance people. So when corrupt people start governing the system, what is going to happen? Corruption. Correct? So when corruption prevails in the society, any amount of money comes to the society. That's why we hear this 2G, 3G scams. And I wonder how many crores they are talking, right? What do they do with that much money? I have no idea. So these are the problem. When corrupt system will get corrupted, all these things will happen. And Utsatyante Jadi Dharma Kula Dharma Shashvashara. The good dharmas established in the society will be completely destroyed. So that's the next problem. And finally, the last verse is Utsanya Kula Dharmana Manushyanam Janardana Narake Niyatam Vaso Bhavatir Anushrumaha. So he tells, O Janardana, we have heard, Anushruma. Anushruma means I have heard, I studied from reliable sources. What I heard, that Narake Niyatam Vasaha. Such a society will be in a hellish state always. When the confusion happens, when the whole fabric of the society changes, when the society deviates from the standard norms established by the wise people, I heard that such a society is going to live in a hellish mode. Look at Lebanon. Such a small country, they can become like Singapore. Singapore and Lebanon always compare. Sri Lanka and Singapore, we can always compare. Means now Sri Lanka is coming, but earlier because of this internal fight, they would have gone where? They prefer to stay in a hellish state. That's exactly what is happening. Sri Lanka is a classic example. It's a civil war. And when civil war happens, the life, you should go and see these Jaffna and all. My God, I was pretty much involved with an NGO very recently. The state is pathetic. And you all should consider how lucky we are when the life of such people. So this is exactly what Arjuna is talking. So Narake Niyatam Vasa Bhavatish Anushrumaha. So he tells, for those people who destroy dharma of the family, Utsandya Kula Dharmana, what happens? To hear from a stable source, Anushrumaha, such people will stay in a hellish mood. This is what Arjuna tells. So he just enumerates the problem of a civil war brilliantly. So now let's see the subjective meaning also in 5 minutes. So what happens is, you're trying to destroy, self-control is trying to destroy your passion for a burger or your passion for a little bit of sweet, or I'm just using harmless example, or your passion for something immoral. What is going to happen? Arjuna is saying that, and symbolically you can say that the sense organs are always married to a thought. Why I feel for a sweet laddu or a gulab jamun? Because there is a thought, craving thought in my mind. That is what is forcing my tongue to eat. So in our scriptures it is said that there is always a marriage between the sense organs and a thought. So what you are trying to do, the sense organs are considered as female and the thought is considered as male. So now what is going to happen? Your self-control is going to go and kill the males of the family. My passion for a little bit of alcohol, or my passion for a little bit of immorality, my passion for a little bit of sweets, my passion for a little bit of sleep. When I go and kill, what happens? These females, my sense organs becomes orphans. And naturally what happens? Earlier my tongue has a taste for this laddu or sweet. It may go and attract it to something even badder. When the natural partner is gone, right? Sometimes when you try to force, this is psychologically proven, when you try to force and kill some of your deep passion, some people know that, okay, I'm forcefully controlling myself. Over a period of time, you can see such people exploding. How many times? So, forceful suppression of the emotion, that is what Arjuna is talking here. Forceful suppression of the emotion can lead into a bigger damage later. It can destroy my peace of mind. I may physically say that, okay, I should not have done that, I should not have done that. What is happening in my mind? Always confusion, and always regrets, and always missing something. It can create a huge mess within my internal kingdom. My internal king, he tells that a little bit of passion here and there is always acceptable, because if I try to suppress them, huge breakdown will happen in my own personality. Isn't it? This is so true. All these arguments from an external perspective as well as the internal perspective, it is correct. Now we have to find answers for all these things. So that's the summary of this verses. So let me recap. So today we saw from 38 to 44, the major theme of the topic is, from a physical perspective or from a objective perspective, Arjuna's argument for not fighting this war. He said, the Kauravas, out of lopa apahrita chetasa, the greed has hijacked their thinking, and they are not seeing what is happening as a result of the war, and they are ready to fight with me. But I am seeing the damage of the war as an intelligent person, and what are the casualties of the war, because the war can create a lot of imbalance in the society. When the society, it can destroy the traditions, cultures and the standards of the society, and when that happens, that's a hellish state. Subjectively, the self-control is trying to control certain emotions and thoughts in me, and the self-control is afraid. If I control these thoughts, if I suppress my passion for drinks, alcohol, or if I suppress my passion for a cigarette, after all, I will do only one cigarette. It will always get an excuse. So I put a New Year resolution to stop smoking, but it is, if I force myself, it is creating a lot of imbalance in me, disharmony within me, and I'm losing my sleep, and I cannot even drink my tea without my cigarette. So why should I create a hellish state for me? Rather, then I will find an excuse, just like what we heard today morning. After all, the life is only one life. Rather than eating these, I'm not a cattle, just to eat these salad, I would like to eat something better, and I will surrender. So 3 more verses we will see. Arjuna will conclude and he will emotionally break down completely. To that person who is emotionally broken down in front of a life situation, confused to do what is right and wrong and what is to be done, to that person, Gita is addressed. So don't think that is an Arjuna's problem. This problem happens to each and every one of us. And to all of us, Gita will be addressed. So we have to see Gita from that perspective.